Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show, where we interview 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, where we talk about the journey, the pitfalls, the setbacks, the challenges, and the blessings and the strategies that they use to get to where they are today. My name is Nat Mogul, and today I am excited that we have Wes Paul in the building, and he is the CEO of Blueprint Media. He's the founder and CEO also of Uptrend Credit. Welcome to the show, Wes.
Thank you. Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for having me. Definitely appreciate being here, to being able to share my experience with you and the audience here. The Imperfect Action Show sort of highlights a lot of my trials and tribulations, in which we're going to hear about, but also follow you guys' content. So yeah, I'm very excited for this.
Thank you. We're honored to have you today. So tell us a little bit, who is Wes Paul?
Wes Paul, just a regular guy, serial entrepreneur, as you mentioned, with the two companies. I own a fintech company as well as a media company as well, too, Blueprint and Uptrend. I have a podcast platform, which is a podcast called Respect My Blueprint that I'm the host of.
Okay.
As well as, all of the other goodies that goes into the bag, right? I'm a dad, I'm a father, brother, son, and all that good stuff. And, I'm also a guy that's trying to make his way in the world and trying to leave an impact at the same time,
Nice. You're a regular guy who's making seven figures, starting seven businesses. I love it. Love the humility. All right. So tell us, how did you get started?
I got started.
This Blueprint thing, something 5 years ago, was it on your thing as a kid that you say, I'm going to get into business and finance? How did it happen for you?
To give you the elevators pitch, I got bit by the entrepreneurial bug, I would say, at a young age, around high school.
Okay.
Instead of playing high school sports, I went and got my first, full commission job, which at that point, kind of gives you the mindset of, you get in what you put out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get what you put in, right? So with that being said, I started off my first telemarketing company a few years after, doing telemarketing as a high school kid. And, I ended up having a successful business for a couple of years until, I got in trouble and everything like that. Like most people coming out of the hood in the inner cities, right? We don't have a sense of financial education or even financial literacy. So when we're exposed to it, we sometimes don't know how to respond properly, right? So my response was in a largely negative aspect and wrong side of the law, which I end up paying a tremendous price of, nearly a decade of my life behind bars. But thankfully, during that time period of my first and only time being incarcerated for going to prison, I learned that, number one, how much I needed to change because of my roles and responsibility and everything, but also how I could, turn all of the negative things I was doing to a positive. So, I formulated the plan of building Uptrend as well as the Blueprint organization. Upon my release in October of 2019, I had a 9-to-5, which I lost during the pandemic. Shortly thereafter, as you know, like many people in my industry, in hospitality. And it was that time I realized, I said, okay, time to make a pivot. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? So started off fixing friends and family members' credit, and I seen the results I was able to do for myself and them. I leveraged that skill set to building up the Uptrend organization, to transition it to now being a full credit tech platform. And also, throughout that course and period, I decided to launch the whole Blueprint organization, which entails the media company as well as the mentorships, as the leadership summits that we plan on doing. So, that kind of is the short story of the past 20 years of my life, and also what led up to everything that I've been able to accomplish at this point as well, too.
So you gave us the Reader's Consolidated version of the Reader's Digest consolidated version of your story. All right, I love it. So you said you came home from being incarcerated in 2019, I just wanted to commend you on uh you coming out and defining a clear path for yourself, because I know when you come out from having felonies on your name, it is extremely hard to reintegrate back into society. Jobs are hard, having a place to live is hard, the people you around, you got parole, probation on your back. And I hear a lot of people make a lot of excuses, but I see that you have scaled 2 7-figure businesses since you've been home, and that's only what, 4 years? So,
Yes, I mean, let
so that's amazing. How did
thank
you?
you, thank you.
Would you say that? Because you said you grew up in South Florida,
Right.
and I know that in South Florida that it's really hard in those impoverished areas to succeed, for one to succeed, because of all the things that you see and you have around you. Because my background is in social work, so I understand
Okay.
how when you come from a lower socioeconomic background, you know, there's not a lot of us who make it out. But what
Absolutely.
I'm hearing from your story is that you took your challenges and your obstacles, and your basically your pain, and turned it into a passion. Or you had a or did
Right.
you when you what were you when you were locked up, did you have a mindset to come out and do business, or did
No,
COVID really just?
to be honest with you, it was, a combination of both. That pain, sometimes they say your mess is your message, right? Where,
Mhm.
you know, so what I've just been gone through, going through the school of hard knocks and everything like that, I realized that, okay, that I did wanted a different path in my life, right?
Mhm.
Back then I didn't have any kids. Well, I had two young kids, but I guess I was still a young boy, right?
Mhm.
But now growing into a man and everything, you sort of realize that, okay, listen, the uncalculated risk that you were taking, you know, you can necessarily ball all of that energy up and direct it to something that's positive, right?
Mhm.
And, having two teenagers, I realized the importance of financial and credit literacy. One of the few things I came home with was a 700 credit score, right?
Nice.
Yes, and I was working on it within the last 2 years of my incarceration, where I was in a work release program, and I would actually use some of my tips to actually open up a secured credit card and things of that nature to build my credit. So as soon as the pandemic hit, and there was nothing to turn to, having that prime credit score allowed me to go ahead and leverage into buying a vehicle for myself, also getting loans for myself, and tapping into funding, business credit, and things of that nature. So that I realized, once I realized the true nature of, the power of credit, I realized to, go all in at that aspect, and, decided to break through all odds and barriers. Which, one last thing I want to share before is that, another very inspiring aspect that's had me built the uptrend platform was back in 2020. Intuit purchased Credit Karma for, almost $8 billion,
Mhm.
right? And Credit Karma is the prevailing credit monitoring platform throughout the country. However, they they have failing, I guess, I designed a technology and a system that I felt that is, not only a lot better than Credit Karma, but also would even out the credit equality
Mm.
within the
And
country, right?
what system is that? Tell
Well,
us
number
a little
one,
bit about that.
well, now in the day and age of credit alternative data, we allow consumers to report their rent and utility and streaming payments to their credit to be able to boost their credit score.
Okay.
Also, alongside of that, we have a credit grading system that goes alongside of your credit score. So most people don't know what a credit, what a fair or good credit score represent.
Mhm.
Most people don't know what a 650 represent, but they'll know what a C plus represents, right?
Mm.
That lets you know it's your average student, right? So we have created a new credit scoring algorithm that will allow most people in the low to income communities, which is, young adults who don't understand credit, or immigrants that come into this country who have no experience, or, familiarity into the credit system, a digestible way for them to understand it. And again, we provide tools for them to instantly build it outside of the traditional model of incurring debt through a credit card or a loan.
Nice. So, being that, would you call yourself now a business credit guru?
I wouldn't, well, what led, I'm, you know, I'm sort of a nerd in the aspect when I go down a rabbit hole, I really go down it. And the reason why I say that is when I seen the story of Credit Karma being bought by $8 billion, it was done. The founder of Credit Karma is Kenneth Lee,
Mhm.
um, an Asian guy. And I then looked into all the fintech companies and the CEOs and founders of them, and I realized not one of them were of our culture. So how can the biggest, how can the define credit where it's our demographics that's the biggest
Spend the most.
consumer of it,
Mhm.
but we don't have any representation. Most
Yep.
people, when they go into my field, they want to open up a credit repair company. No, I actually want to be the company that replaces Credit Karma, that represents again credit for all of our communities.
Hey man, I like that. Go on and do it. I'm here for it. Can't wait to see you get to your maximum peak there. So, what is one of
Thank
the
you.
misconceptions about credit, or like a myth about credit that you can debunk for us today? Because a lot of people are scared of credit.
And that's the well, well, because that's the problem. The biggest myth about credit is where the old adage that our ancestors was raised on is cash is king, right?
Mhm.
And what was naturally successful for them in their point in time doesn't necessarily is our failure at this point in time. And reason I say that because they grew up in an era where they worked 2 3 jobs. It was okay to work you know 2 3 jobs just to get by, but also
Mhm.
to buy things cash, to not, you know, don't get a credit card, pay off your house and things of that nature, right? Having debt isn't actually a bad thing, right? That was always the big narrative that was sold to us. But however, you know, it's this day and age, you starting to realize, especially in this economy we're in, where interest rates are getting slashed, and where in 2008 the financial crisis happened, where everybody put a lot of their everything into their homes, is that credit is actually the key to a successful American lifestyle.
Mhm.
So to answer your question, the biggest myth I would say is not cash is king, credit is king, because now half the jobs in this country does a background check on you. In order to get housing, in order where your kid's education is dictated on your credit, right? Where you can live, also things
Car
such as
insurance.
car insurance, right? So it really touches almost 90% of the facets of your everyday life as an American, that you start to realize that credit is king. Credit can allow you to touch avenues that cash sometimes won't.
Okay, so a person who comes in to you, um, does a blueprint mastermind? I mean, the uptrend
Yeah,
credit or the blueprint
yeah.
mastermind? Which one of these? Give me some clarity.
I'm
Is it
glad
going
that you
somebody
mentioned
that's coming in with a
that.
590 credit score? Which one are you
It'll
going
be
to?
uptrend. It'll be uptrend. Blueprint Mastermind, of course, that's my alias for my the Blueprint organization.
Okay,
You know, um, Uptrend. I'm founder and CEO, but the brand is more or less our mascot here, Tico.
okay,
Okay. So when it comes to Uptrend, I'm just regular Wesley Paul, the founder and CEO. When it comes to the podcasting, media, branding, I'm Blueprint Mastermind. But
okay, got
to
you.
to
Okay, so
answer your
uptrend.
the Uptrend, yes, it'll be Wesley Paul, just the
So you
regular.
guys, you followers and viewers, you hear this, you're gonna hit up West Paul for uptrend credit. And somebody that's coming in with a
Yeah.
550, a low credit score that didn't come home with a 700 credit score, like you just stated. Um, can you give them some words of encouragement or not to get discouraged, or like what they're looking at time frame wise, how they can boost themselves
Okay.
up to that 720?
Good question. First thing, I want to first, clear up the misconception where, credit is like a microwavable thing. You could just stick it in a microwave, 30 seconds, it'll reappear, right?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while to get bad credits, so it takes a while to get good credit.
That is,
So,
can you say that again, please?
it takes time to build bad credit, so it's going to take some time to build good credit,
Thank you for saying that.
So the main with once you have that mindset, then you understand, okay, give myself a 4 to 6 month runway to
Mm-hmm.
be able to, number one, do three things. Number one, stay on top of your credit. A lot of us, are more on top of our Netflix and social media subscriptions instead of our credit, right?
Mm.
So signing up with a credit monitoring service, knowing where you are and where you need to get is number one, because it gives you a game plan. All right. Second aspect, once you have, you're on top of your credit, then you want to identify all of the errors or inaccuracies that's holding your credit, what's that's impacting it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've, pretty much identified them, which is pretty easy, once you, learn several tips and strategies and things like that. Once you've identified those errors, then you can go ahead and implement a point of attack, which is whether you're going to dispute these errors, whether you're going to have them corrected, whether they're fraudulently. You'll be able to go ahead and take that avenue of having those errors removed or corrected, where now it increases your score. But however, simultaneously, what you want to do is add positive trade lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's again with our credit building services, where you don't have to not only go and get a secured or unsecured credit card or get a loan from an institution, but you can also boost your credit score by adding your rent payments, your utility payments, your streaming payments, where you can quickly boost your credit score 40, 50 points within 30 days without incurring any debt as well.
Nice. So what I heard you just say is, well, we're going to prioritize.
Right.
We're going to prioritize get our credit report, pull.
All
Who would
the
we pull
errors.
these credit reports from?
Now you can go ahead and pull. Naturally, I would tell everybody to go directly to the credit bureaus. You can go to Experian, or you can go to our platform, uptrendcredit.com, where you'll be able to go ahead and pull your reports as well. But you can
Okay, so we
go.
could come directly to Uptrend
It's
Credit and pull all three credit reports and get an
absolutely,
accurate credit report. And you
absolutely,
guys heard that. You can go to
as
Uptrend
well as your
Credit
credit grade.
as well as your credit grade. So I don't know if I have a C, D, E, F, or A with my
Exactly.
credit. Nice, nice, nice. I like it. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to analyze this credit report. Are the things valid? Did mama take out some some cable of your name 15 years ago that needs to
Right.
be addressed? And or sometimes the credit bureau just reports things that are
Inaccurately.
incorrect
Right.
on a bill, that we need to make sure that, like, we don't have to just accept what we see on this report, but going line by line, precept upon precept, and seeing all the inaccuracies, and then we're taught how to go ahead and or we employ
Or
you.
now I do have a credit the game course where again you can show you how to, dispute. I didn't know if it was appropriate to go ahead and share that in the show because
Oh
it
yeah,
meant,
for sure. Go ahead. You can
you know,
talk about your brand. I'm gonna give you a, well, since you brought it up, are there any programs or services that we could tap into with you, Wes, that would help people
absolutely.
with this with an easier process?
Absolutely. Now, of course, a lot of the viewers are probably asking, okay, how do I identify those errors or remove these accuracies? How do I know these things in step two that I'm referring to? Well, again, we have released my first DIY credit repair course. Okay, it's
Okay.
called Credit the Game, and it's a
Credit to
four
game.
credit the game.
Credit the game. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And it's a four-part course that teaches not only in credit repair, but it teaches how to build business credit, also how to personal development, how to learn more about credit and financial literacy, and to take all of that knowledge to also starting up your own home-based credit repair company, or also other passive stream of incomes like affiliate marketing, right? The website is creditthegame.com, where you'll be able to go ahead and get more information about the course, as well as if you want to check out a snippet of the course, there is a webinar that's right there at the beginning of the page. You can check out absolutely free to see if the course will help you out in your credit repair journey. So that right there, is a good tool and resource. Again, if you're wanting to take that extra step in repairing your credit, again, taking the first step of staying on top of it, and you want to go ahead and fulfill the second step of identifying those errors and disputing them, there is a source there I've just dropped for you guys to be able to do so.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for you guys who missed it, we'll say it again at the end of the show. You said that you came home, started these businesses. Your first business in high school, you said was a commission-based business. So that taught you how to grind and to go for it. Because when you
Yeah.
get commission, there is no salary, there's no hourly wages. It's whatever you gotta go. You gotta go fishing. You gotta go out
You
there
feel
and
me?
you gotta be a fish. You gotta be a shark, so to speak, when you're working a commission-based job. Um, so that taught you how to grind. Would you say that was
Yes,
the start
absolutely.
of you,
You
or did you have
know,
to tap back into that skill in order to scale your businesses to seven figures?
absolutely, because you know, I attempted to play high school sports. And then when I realized that, you needed money to pay for some of like the equipment that you needed for sports,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, and plus, I just wanted to be fly in school. I wanted to be the fly guy. I wanted to have the cool sneakers, the cool shoes and
Mm-hmm.
things, right? So, I had to get a job. My mom, single mother with 3 kids, I knew better to not ask her, right? So,
I was trying to tell my son that the other day. Like, my mom is Jamaican. I'd be like, Mom, can we get a pair of Jordans? She'd be like, go Jordan, your book. Like,
yeah, bro.
you couldn't ask for no Jordans back in those. Now these
Oh
kids
no,
want
are
Gucci,
you
they want
what?
Balenciagas, they want 500,
It's
$600 sneakers.
it's a different breed now. It's a different era where iPads and iPhones are the expected out of birth. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I worked my first. That's when I realized, okay, let me get a job, and I did. And the crazy part about it, my first job was actually a bagger at Winn Dixie, making like $4 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
10 hours a week. I said, no, this is not going to cut it.
So this
Even
not
then,
it.
as a
This is
16-year-old,
not
I
it.
said, this is not going to cut it, right? Um, and so I decided, there was a job selling cruise vacations, Florida cruise packages, where each package, the commission was $100.
Mm.
That's all I needed to
And you
hear.
was in Florida too. That was big.
Yeah.
You saw the golden opportunity because a
I
lot of cruise
seen
ships leave from Florida.
I just seen how one sale I would have eclipsed my entire week's salary as a bagger at Winn Dixie. So
Mm-hmm.
I would have bet on myself. There were some weeks, of course, I only did one sale, but there was weeks where I had 9, 10, 11 sales,
Mm-hmm.
So it was that particular moment, to answer your question, where that grind came out of me. It's now, there's no entitlement. I don't Paychecks is not a thing for me. No.
Now you say every day you guys came out with your Ricky Rose. Every day I'm
Right.
hustling.
So it's and I think that's a requirement for everyone. Sales, it doesn't matter what age, who you are, what profession, because every day you're selling yourself. You know,
Mm.
every day you're selling yourself, and it doesn't matter what position you're in, you always have to sell something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So learning the aspects of sales and believing in yourself, being a good salesman or saleswoman also creates innate skills like, confidence, as well as, being fearless in certain ways and things like that, leadership, accountability. So when you have that sales skill background, it doesn't necessarily you have to be an entrepreneur. You could work a 9 to 5 and just be a great saleswoman or salesman, and
Mm-hmm.
that could translate in just being successful in life in general as well.
Nice. I like that. Those are I learned too with one of my programs that you can actually be an entrepreneur at a 9 to 5 job.
Yes, yes, that's being an entrepreneur,
Entrepreneur.
right? Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And there's a lot of successful entrepreneurs or quote unquote, right hand mans, right? Steve Ballmer from Microsoft, Wozniak from Apple, and Paul Allen as well too. These are multi-billionaires in their own right, and again, they made their careers based upon being the second-hand man, being the, not naturally the founder CEO, but quote on having that 9 to 5 job in a way.
Right. Understanding your role and
Right.
maximizing in that role.
Right.
So, hearing your story, you've been through a lot from childhood on up, doing a bid. That must have been extremely hard coming home. Pretty sure you're were on probation, parole.
Yeah.
On the times where in your dark times or in some of your challenging moments, what key things do you do to get yourself out of that dark space to motivate you to keep going forward? What do you have a daily regimen that you
Yeah.
use?
Why? Yes. You know, when I first came out, the best thing that the world could have done was, the pandemic. It would force me inside the house.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Everything was locked down.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I only did two things. Even before then, I just stayed in front of the computer screen. Literally, and because anything what you do in this world, any business idea, it's all about speed and hard work, right? If you put enough hard work, and if you put enough work in the hours, you're going to pick up in speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you could always define the success of someone of what they do at their free time. So my free time and all, I spend 16 hours a day, up to 16 hours in front of the computer screen, brainstorming, researching, going down one rabbit hole. And, like I said, the power of information is such readily available. I grew up in an age where if I needed to get information, I had to go down to the public library, or I had to get an encyclopedia. I
Yep.
had to, you know, the speed is nowhere near of where we are today.
You don't
So,
even have to type it nowadays. You can
right,
Siri,
especially with AI
Google,
now, it's
Alexa.
on another level. Yeah,
Hmm. And all the oh, now we have Chat GPT.
right.
Take it
So
a step further, and you get all the information.
trust me, if you take a passion of what you're into and you put enough time, you're going to increase the speed in your success. You know,
Nice. So how do you stay consistent mentally?
um, again, I'll be honest with you, having the love of money and success. I guess it's there's not many things that makes me tick outside of just again being a it has to be innate as far as hard work, which is a
Mhm.
lost art. I'll be honest with you, Natalie. In this microwavable society we're in, where people always subscribe to overnight success, right? They
Mhm.
think that with cryptocurrency and the internet, that hey, I just can just go on and take a YouTube course, and within 3 weeks I'm a guru and I can make six figures. Right? That's not the case. Is that you know you have to put in the grind. So I've been always subscribed to the school of hard work, really putting in the grind. So I'm not thrilled by going out unless I have the finances to be able to, and even then I still do it in moderation. I don't have any vices in the world. I and again having having that cloud of two strikes behind me also keeps me in the track of you know whether it is or not, this is my last shot of success and turning my family
Mm,
fortunes around.
got you. That's nice. I heard Charlemagne say something in his book, Black Privilege, and he said when you said no vices. So me and my son debate about this all the time, and I'm like, if you're not sitting on a certain amount of money where you can go away and money still being generated for you, You don't need to be getting high, right?
Absolutely.
You don't need to be going to get drunk. You don't need to be going to Del Frisco's and to these expensive restaurants every week. Like, what are you celebrating? You only getting a table. What are we celebrating? What did you accomplish? And I'm not trying to tell nobody how to live, but there has to be a certain level of discipline, I would say, before.
Absolutely.
Like if you're trying to get money, getting high every day is a
It's not.
setback, in my
Not
opinion.
it's a set. It's a setback. And what's the key thing that a lot of majority of people lack is a blueprint. No pun intended to the blueprint organization, right? But that's why I label myself the Blueprint Masterminds because I don't never enter anything without having a vision, and a lot of people don't have a vision. A lot of
Ooh,
people,
speak to that.
they lack clarity on their purpose in life. A lot of people are manipulated on what they think they like or may be influenced by a certain person or circumstance into what they feel is just a passion project at the moment. But
Mhm.
once you find your true purpose, something that I tell everyone that you're willing to do for free, that take money out of the equation. You're willing to do this for the rest of your life, regardless of the money. That is when you go ahead and go down that rabbit hole and execute some of these principles I've discussed. And that ultimately, no matter what, it will define success.
So having a blueprint for your life. So I love it. This was a great conversation. Before we end, thank you so much for sharing your nuggets. Is there anything you want to leave the people off with? Send them out with some words of encouragement or words of wisdom that you would like
Uh,
to with our
I'm
viewers.
bad. I'm bad at you kind of pulled a lot of the good gems out of me today. But one thing I can say, for the audience out there, especially the young viewers and everything like that, um, understanding the power of credit is truly the key. Again, it's easy to not have any care about credit because, right now, living your best life may seem as the priority, as it should, right? You want to be able to enjoy the life that you're living. However, you want to be able to set an early foundation, and it can easily do so by establishing good credit because, again, it'll dictate every other facet in your life, and more importantly, it wires your mind to a certain mindset. The studies show, majority of individuals who commit crimes is those who are in a subprime credit category, right? Most people who have fair or even optimal credit, psychologically are inclined to do goodwill. So once you're able to operate under that mindset, you'll see how it just radically changes your life and everything like that. And last but not least, please don't make any moves without having a blueprint in mind. Like I said, and that goes for the people that you have around you, the places you go, and the things that you indulge in. Have a set blueprint, as that will avoid some of the pitfalls that you may encounter in life as well. And that's my tips for today.
Thank you so much. That was powerful. Before we head out, can you tell the people how they can tap in and get in contact with you and purchase some of your um, blueprints and projects?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first things first, I got to go ahead and shout out to the whole Blueprint Media team. And you can check out the Respect My Blueprint podcast. It's a weekly podcast show that's released every Thursday at 12 p.m., where we go ahead and have conversations with the different movers and shakers in the world and hear their blueprint, their success stories, just like I was able to share with you guys. Again, that's respectmyblueprint.com. Also, again, for those that wanting to go ahead and take their credit to the next level again and remove some of those things that they want to off your credit report and go ahead and check out Credit the Game, creditthegame.com. And again, it's an online course put together by myself and the team. It's my first course, so be
Give them some
easy on me.
grace.
Yeah, give me some grace. All right. However, that is the entry point into the Blueprint Movement community, which is a community we'll be launching next month. where you'll be able to not only have access to of our other online courses, but also mentorship, coaching with myself as well too, on other things that we have going on with our organization. And of course, you can catch me at all social media platforms, which is at blueprintmastermind.com, at Blueprint Mastermind, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that other good stuff.
At Blueprint Mastermind. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you,
It was a pleasure.
Westfall. And thank you guys for viewing for another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. See you guys soon.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.